my name's Claire and you're watching Stitch Hem Sew. Thank you so much for joining me today for another episode of Friday Sews. A huge thank you for joining me today, and thank you so much to everyone that's been watching my previous videos, for all the likes and comments and subscribes. I really do appreciate it, so please do keep those coming. I really love talking to you in the comments, and thank you so much to everybody that gave me their advice on the petrol blue needle cord fabric that I wasn't quite sure about what to make. I think the general gist, as everyone has said to me, is to go ahead and make the Camden skirt but to line it. And of course that is actually a lined pattern, it's just I've chosen never to do it as a lined skirt before, so it just hadn't crossed my mind. So thank you to everybody that has helped me with that, because I may have eventually got there, but it would have taken me a while. So thank you so much, and I really do appreciate everybody that takes the time to write a comment. It's really lovely and really helpful in this particular circumstance in particular. So what have I got for you today? I have been doing some makes, and I've got some fabric to show you and some plans and things that are happening over the weekend, sewing related, so I thought I'd share those with you as well. So what have I been up to? So last week I showed you this jumper that I was sort of almost finished with but hadn't quite done. I don't think I'd done the cuffs or finished stitching the hem on the bottom. So this is the Toaster Sweater by Sew House 7. I believe this is version 2. There's two different versions. There's one with a much more of a funnel neck, and that's got a raglan sleeves version on. I like that one too. This is, I believe, is version 2 rather than version 1, and it's got kind of this, it's kind of, I don't really know what you describe this neckline. It's kind of boat-like but also funnel-like at the same time. There's probably a much more technical term for it. Please do correct me in the comments. I will not be offended. This is maybe the third version I've made of this particular one. I'm really happy with it. I love this colour. It's really bright. It's really vibrant. Yeah, I'm really pleased with it. It's possibly come up a little bit snugger on the bust area than my last version. Don't really know why. It's probably maybe just the stretch of this fabric isn't quite the same as the last one, but it's nowhere near enough to make me feel uncomfortable and not wear it. So yeah, really happy with this make. As I say, lovely bright colour, just quite uplifting, especially on a dreary day. Although I have to say, here in the UK the weather has been extremely cold, but beautiful bright blue skies every day. Now I apologise if you can hear any background noise. Outside we've got some water trucks. Now we've had a problem in our local area of having very low water pressure or no water at all. Thankfully, myself in our property, we haven't really been massively affected other than some slightly lowered water pressure, but other people in the area have been greatly affected by not having any water for several days at a time. So outside, who knew, apparently underground there is quite a large water reservoir, I suppose. I don't really know, but anyway, they've been filling it up for literally days, no exaggeration, and it's relatively noisy, so I apologise if there's any background noise. So what else have I been up to in terms of sewing? I think last week I spoke about a couple of makes that I was thinking about making over the coming weeks, and I've managed to sew up another one of those makes, and I've also cut out a sort of a secret squirrel project that I'm working on in relation to a new pattern release that's happening fairly soon. So obviously I can't show you that, but I did do a session of cutting some fabric out. So I as I said in my last video, and a few lovely people responded in the fact that cutting out is not their favourite stage either, but yeah, I knuckled down, got on with it. As always, it's never as bad as when I think about it, but yeah, I did it. Anyway, the result was I managed to cut out my heather dress with which is a sew over it pattern, one of their older ones actually, and I was also cutting it out in a fabric that I'd bought from Sew Over It in their sort of December, January sales, and this is the finished result. Now, I haven't taken any pictures yet, but I will endeavour to do so before I edit this video. So I've got a little Rosy Cheeks label in there that just says handmade, and it's going to be difficult for you to see the details. It's quite a busy print, but it's got these sort of gorgeous sort of pockets that are built into, I don't know whether you can see, but there is a line down there, almost like a princess seam, I guess, and then the pockets are kind of built into that. It's really quite an interesting detail. Now, I've lengthened this pattern by two or 3 inches, I would say. I just added some length at the bottom. Did I lengthen the arms? I can't remember. I imagine I did, because I always have to lengthen arms. I said I was going to go for 3/4. I decided to go for full length because I had enough fabric to do that, and I actually thought, well, it's winter time, it might be quite nice to have full length, and if I find that it's annoying, I can always cut them to like 3/4 length. So I thought it was almost the best of both worlds. So yeah, I'm not sure whether I added length. I will, if I did, I will pop it along the screen so that you know. So as I say, I'll try and get some pictures of me wearing this, but yeah, I'm really quite pleased with how it's turned out. I think my neckline has come out a little bit more square than the pattern was intended. I don't really know why. It took me a couple of attempts, actually I think it was the 3rd attempt, to get this neckband sitting flatly. The pattern piece was just too long, and so I had to keep kind of trimming it and trying again. I tried the whole kind of 80% method. I think I took it down to 75% in the end. I guess the stretch of my fabric was enough that it needed to be that. Anyway, I think I've got it lying pretty flat and pretty nice, and I'm pretty pleased with the outcome actually. I haven't worn it yet because I've actually only just finished it, but I'm sure it will go into rotation in my wardrobe, particularly I think for my work wardrobe. Although I have to say I don't have a distinct work wardrobe and home wardrobe because I'm only in the office 2 days a week now, and we're not an office where we're like smart. We're kind of, you know, not slogans on t-shirts and ripped jeans, but equally, you know, I don't tend to wear jeans to work, but equally I'm not uber like office business smart either. So hopefully this will be a good piece for my wardrobe, and yeah, I think it is a pattern that I would make again. I don't have any more fabric to do so as yet, otherwise I probably would make one straight away, but it would definitely be something that I would think about making in the future, and is sort of in between, I would say, a shift dress and a jumper dress, so quite a nice mix. So those are my makes. I'll talk about sort of plans in a little bit. Let me talk about a couple of things that have come through the post. Now last week I think I spoke about the fact I'd placed an order with Little Rosy Cheeks and it hadn't yet arrived. That wasn't for the lack of them sending it out quickly, that was Royal Mail being a little bit slow, and by the time my package did arrive, it did look like it had been around the houses a little bit. Nothing was damaged inside, but the wrapping was definitely a little bit worse for wear. So I was a little bit cautious when I opened, but everything was perfect inside and was all presented really lovely in their lovely pale blue tissue paper. So gorgeous. So what did I get? So everything I bought, I think, was in there 50% off, which was just such a bargain. So I've picked up some more Little Rosy Cheeks labels that say made by mummy, because I obviously, for obvious reasons, use those. Now I've picked up a paper pattern. I never do paper patterns, but I have been thinking about buying this Scout pattern, Scout Tea by Grain Line Studio pattern, for such a long time. It's one of those ones I think, oh, at some point I'll buy it. I think it would be really useful. Just a really basic woven t-shirt pattern. I don't think the smaller size range has darts in, but the larger size range, which is a 14 to 30 with a D cup, does have some bust darts in, just so that you don't, otherwise you'll end up with that kind of like, it just hangs off from the front of your boobs because there's no kind of definition to kind of like bring it in round your bust. So yeah, I've got a paper pattern because it was such a good price. Now the downside to having a paper pattern, of course, is that with PDF patterns I print them off and I cut straight in. Now, and it's also on this sort of tissue paper type stuff, which is brilliant in one way because it takes up way less space than obviously folded up pieces of kind of photocopier type paper, but there's such a higher risk of it ripping. So now I have to make the decision about whether I cut into it or whether I trace it. And because I can't just reprint it, which is why I just cut into PDF patterns, I probably am going to take the time to trace it, which is just tedious, isn't it? It kind of is on the same level as cutting out to me. Just a bit boring. But yes, I am pleased with the pattern. And I think it will be really, really useful. I think the fabric requirements, however, are way off. I mean, I know that I'm not the smallest person in the world, but for a size 14 on a 54-inch fabric white piece of fabric, they are suggesting that you would need 1.7 meters for a woven t-shirt. There's no way. I mean, I'm not a size 14, but equally I wouldn't expect my size to take 1.7. So that really irritates me with pattern companies who don't take the time to really figure out how much you need. So when I do get round to making this pattern, I will let you know how much fabric I actually used, because yeah, that's annoying. But anyway, pleased with the pattern. Then I've got a few bits of fabric that I bought from them as well. This is a Lady McElroy fabric. I've got a metre of this fabric, and I possibly might make the Scout tee if I can get it out of a metre. So there's a challenge to myself. Maybe that will make me do it quicker, because I'll be like, I will be successful in getting it out of less than 1.7. Are you having a laugh? I mean, even if it was 1.5, it would be slightly more realistic. But yeah, we'll see if I can get it out of that much, or whether it does indeed need a little bit more. I think this is quite nice. It's got kind of a forest greeny tones, these sort of terracotta, and a sort of a copper. That's the word I'm looking for. Copper tones in as well. It's a cotton lawn. And yeah, it was a really reasonable price because it had 50% off. So yeah, I think that's quite nice. Then I just bought an 50 centimetre piece of this cotton fabric, quite narrow. It's just a cotton poplin with these strawberries on. No other reason than I just thought it was really cute. And I will make something crafty from it, or it'll be pocket bags or things like that. I just really liked it. Just fruity and lovely. Oh, perfect for So Fruity if I've kept it that long. I don't think I will have done. The So Fruity challenge normally runs in about June time, I think, by Yvette from Blossom Sandwich, if she's doing it again this year. But it probably won't last in my stash that long. I think it's gorgeous. And then another piece of fabric I bought was this gorgeous cord fabric. Now, I think when I was buying the fabrics that I bought fairly recently, I had a bit of I've got to make more Camden skirts, because I've now essentially bought 3 more fabrics to make Camden skirts. So which is maybe a slight overkill, but when you do like a pattern, I am up for remaking. It's in this gorgeous royal blue colour, so a little bit more in your face than the ones that I've made before. And actually I like to make the inside of the pockets in something. And I also tend to, with the heavier weight corduroy, not line it, but I tend to do like a bias binding round the edge strip on the inside, and actually I think that will work really cute together, so maybe that will be a little match made in heaven. So those are those purchases from Little Miss So and So. Now the other thing that I have got that's arrived in the post is my fabric from UK Fabrics Online for this month's, actually it was supposed to be for February's blog post or Instagram post, however you want to put it, but they had these fabrics on pre-order and it took them slightly longer than they expected to come through, so I think it's kind of a February/March project, so that's great because it gives me a bit more time to do it. And this is a William Morris cotton, waterproof cotton canvas. It's gorgeous. I love William Morris prints, and I've got loads here actually. I think they sent me more than I've requested, which is wonderful. And my plan is to make a really lovely apron, because over Christmas my apron that I use, well, we've got sort of 2 aprons that we use in the kitchen between me and my husband, and the one that I tend to use is just, it's beyond tight. And I thought, right, well, it's time to make myself a really nice apron. I thought at some point this year, I said to myself over the Christmas period, I am going to make myself a new apron. And then when this fabric came up as a, so we had a, we could choose whatever print we wanted. So when this fabric came up, I thought, well, that's ideal. So yeah, that's my plan. Now I think I am going to use the Helen's Closet, oh my goodness, mind freezer, Sam apron, which is a free pattern. You know how I love a free pattern, and I think that will be just really lovely. Really looking forward to sewing that up. Obviously, because it's a canvas fabric and it's waterproof, it's not drapey as such, but it's not a really stiff fabric, so hopefully that is going to be really nice for an apron. But I did think that perhaps if I was to try and make the ties and the strap in this, that might feel a bit stiff by the time you kind of folded the fabric over. You know, you tend to cut maybe a strip of fabric that's 4 inches and you fold it in a bit like you would with bias binding. I thought it might end up being quite bulky around your neck and not tie very well at the back. So I have bought some navy webbing, tape, strap, whatever you like to call it, from eBay, just navy. And I think whilst it's not a perfect match, that is going to work pretty nicely. So pretty pleased with that. So that's another sort of plan that I've got that I'll probably make early February, I think. Now another plan that I would like to do this week, because it's my little boy's birthday, is to get this Batman fabric sewn up. Now I showed this to you in last week's video. I've now got this fabric all washed up, so I just need to get that pattern cut out. And I am off to a sewing social this weekend that's being hosted by the lovely Adam from Adam Sews. And yeah, I think I will my plan is an all-day social, so I'm going to plan to take my overlocker probably rather than my sewing machine and sew up the Waves and Wild hot chocolate jumper / hoodie. Now I'm hoping that I'm going to get the hoodie out of this, and then I can get that all sewn up whilst I'm at the social. If I can get the hoodie pattern out, I will not need my sewing machine, but if I can only get the jumper out, then I will need the sewing machine, because I'll need to do although I could just do that when I get home. There's me thinking on the spot. Anyway, I'm going to take this, and then if I finish that and haven't got anything to do, I'm just going to take some cross stitch along with me as well. So that's my my definite plan for this week. I also need to get sewn up my sort of secret project for the new pattern release that's coming out, and so I need to get that sewn up, but I am waiting on an invisible zip. And I've also realised it's got a lined bodice, and I hadn't cut out the lining of the bodice, and I have run out of the particular fabric that I was going to use, so I'm going to have to do that in another fabric, but I don't think that'll be too much of a problem because you won't see it anyway. And I'll just pick a fabric of the same, it's like a viscose fabric, so I'll just pick out, hopefully I've got like a small remnant piece of viscose that I can use that is of the same sort of weight, and yeah, it won't be too much of a problem. But hey ho, read the pattern, people. Because yeah, I occasionally cut the piece out and didn't think about it. But never mind, you live and learn, don't you? So in terms of plans, I've got the jumper of my son, I've got the sort of secret squirrel project, and I think that will probably do me for this week. And maybe I will try and get cut out the other one that I was talking about the other day, which is the Roxy jumper by Sew Over It, as well, and so that I've got kind of the next project kind of lined up and ready to go. So I think that's probably it from me today in terms of what I've got to tell you. Again, I just want to say a massive thank you for stopping by, for watching my video today, and for those of you that are new here today, I'd really appreciate it if you would consider subscribing, and if you could give this video a like, whether you're new or whether you're a returning watcher or subscriber. Just thank you so much for stopping by, and I will say goodbye to you for now. So take care, happy sewing, bye bye.